Welcome back to Leafs fans in hostile lands. Kyle is thinking of new songs. Dun, dun, dun. Wow. And another thing about Kyle, he doesn't know how to stay in one key. Welcome to Learning Music with Kyle, the music teacher who gets paid to do this.
Yeah, he's a drummer, though, not a singer. Don't worry.
It's jazz, man. It's jazz.
It's jazz. If you put a couple cool chords under there, you know, a lot of people have sang the ultimate anthem. Good Lord, no, the national anthem. And just been terrible. But there's some piano players that, you know, they make it more fun. Let's talk about hockey. Wow. Okay, hockey. Lots of things happening in the NHL this week. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to bring on my father. My father came over this weekend, and I was like, hey, we should do an interview. He likes to have mics in front of him. That was fun. We're going to hear from him. And then we're going to talk about the Leafs and how good having a hot start is from the beginning of the game, and how your stress levels will never be increased by having more goals than the other team. It's always good to have more goals than the other team, right, boys?
That's
Absolutely.
what they tell me.
Isn't that the formula for winning?
Yes.
So one would think.
Until you become a Leafs fan, and then no.
There's a game earlier this season where they won like 6-1, 7-1 or something. At what point did you guys feel comfortable?
At the whistle.
At the
final
buzzer?
whistle.
The very end.
Okay, good. It wasn't just me. Okay.
If they
on.
pulled the goalie with 6 minutes left and they were up 6 goals, I would still be afraid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're praying for Campbell at that point.
Exactly.
You're praying for your fantasy team, but anyway.
I'm always doing that. Everyone knows that. I'm surprised we don't have a fantasy corner yet. Around the NHL, tonight, what day is it? Tuesday,
Yes.
almost February. Okay, we're moving through this year as fast as possible. Keith Yandle has set a new NHL Ironman streak at 965 straight games. That includes almost being scratched and people going, no, stop, do not do that. Now, playoff games don't count in this. It's only regular season games.
And COVID,
Thank God.
for that matter.
Yeah.
That is true.
Pandemics can't even stop an Ironman streak.
Yeah, I guess it was the beginning of last season where they were about to scratch him, and basically his teammates protested and said, no, you need to put him in the lineup. And it worked, and he didn't play all that well, and now he's playing for Philadelphia. But at least he's got the record.
He's got the record. Just past Doug Jarvis. He's one game over Doug now. Can you imagine if he gets scratched after that game? Just like, and you're done.
Sorry, dude.
That would not be fun.
If he keeps us up till the end of the season, he could hit 1,000 games straight. So let's just all hope for Yandle that he can make it through to the end of April and actually break that.
That'd be fun. Couple former Leafs as well on this Ironman streak kind of list. Bill Kessel. Still going.
Yeah.
941. Still
amazing.
going. So he could even get into second. And it says Patrick Marleau active streak, but he retired, right?
No, he hasn't technically retired.
Okay.
So he's not playing. He's not playing games. He's just not playing.
Gotcha. Okay. He's 910, so that might be a little bit harder to get up the standings. But pretty cool that there are some Leaf legends up there as well. Speaking of Philly and Keith Yandle, they suck.
They do.
They're not good.
No.
12 games in a
season.
row they have lost. Now, this might be outdated after this podcast. They are currently 2-2 at the end of the first against the Islanders. So that's something, maybe. I don't know. But they're not good. Another team not good. Edmonton Oilers. However, they did get their first win against Dan's favorite team, the Calgary Flames, right? Right,
I
Dan?
smiled a little. Yeah, it was a good night.
Why did they suck? I don't get it. They're like Philly has a really good goalie, and okay, Edmonton doesn't, but Edmonton has the best player in the whole world. What, Dan?
Well, you know, when Koskinen, I think he lit up the Leafs, didn't he? Wasn't that one of our really bad games a couple weeks ago?
We haven't lost to Edmonton in quite a while.
Yeah.
Haven't we?
No. Actually, I heard this the other
Okay,
day. They haven't lost to him since they remember that ridiculous McDavid goal where he turnstiled Riley a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
They haven't
Yeah.
lost to them since then.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my mistake. Well, then that's just unfortunate for Edmonton.
Mm-hmm. Now we don't play that often except for last season.
Yeah.
Right.
That must have been last
Now,
season.
I have a prediction for Edmonton that they're going to come back with a vengeance. I don't know if it's going to take a goalie to get them back into it, or if it's literally just going to take Draisaitl and McDavid to will them back into the playoffs and rake up the points like crazy. Like, people have actually caught them in points now. They were so far ahead, but now they have been caught. I think they're going to come back with a vengeance, or at least my fantasy team sure hopes so.
See, I don't know about
you
that.
picked up
But
a few, Cal?
like they've only won 3 games since the beginning of the calendar year. If they had the ability just to will these wins, like we all kind of seem to think that they can, why haven't they been able to do it in the last 14 games? They've barely put any points on the board, and I think that they are just too overburdened with the entire team, the entire city, everything on their 2 shoulders, and they just I think they're sick of it, and it's gotten to the point that they just can't do it anymore. It's been a long, hard 2 years, and I think just all of that on top of having all of that burden that they've just crumbled. I don't think they've got it in them with what the team has right now, and I think they're just too tired to be able to carry this team any longer.
Interesting. Okay, I don't want to talk about sucky teams anymore. Let's talk about a good team, kind of. Well, not exactly in the standings, but the
Statistically
Vancouver
not.
Canucks.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No, not Toronto, yeah. Vancouver Canucks have hired their first female assistant GM, not the first in the NHL, but for the Canucks it is theirs, Emilie Castonguay. I don't know how you say that, but welcome
I think it's
aboard.
Castonguay.
Okay, I like that better. Welcome aboard to the NHL. You're going to like it, we hope, because being a GM definitely doesn't come with any scrutiny whatsoever, at least assistant GM. Well, assistant GM, maybe not so much. Dan, you want to tell us a little bit about this hire?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you said, not the first female assistant GM. That goes to Angela Gorgon with the Ducks. But it's awesome that, she's Canada's first assistant GM, which was fantastic. Montreal born. She was an agent for a lot of years. She played NCAA hockey also for Niagara University. And then she interned with Pierre Gauthier from the Canadiens, and so whom she calls mentor. So I think that was pretty cool. And she's also a certified lawyer. So, she's kind of done it all, and she's been a player agent, so she knows the game well. And it makes sense to bring her on. I think it's going to bring, some fresh air to Vancouver. I think it could maybe spur them back into maybe playing a little bit better. Hopefully they have one of those, you make an office change and you rebound a little bit. So, congratulations, Vancouver. I thought it was awesome when I heard that news, and I'm excited to see how it goes.
Still haven't named a head GM, though, which is interesting.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now, it seems like AGM roles are so specific in kind of what they do. Like, Toronto has someone who manages the Marlies, and they have an AGM that just manages the cap. They've got AGMs that just do player negotiations. They have ones that just do player trades. I'm seeing this trend with Kent Hughs in Montreal and with the sign here in Vancouver, that the player agent seems to be a person that's really in demand right now in the front office of teams. When you think of how often do we talk about the salary cap? And we're not even just talking about hockey. By having a player agent that, has the mind for, how players are thinking in that kind of situation, and how players are, like we were talking about coming to Canada and how a lot of players don't want to come here because they perceive that they're not going to make as much money. By an agent like that, who is on that side of the business, knows the finances, can say to a player, that's just not true. That by having that kind of mind, having a player agent in your front office, I think is a great idea for just so many different reasons of, just take that off of the main GM's role. Let him worry about the team. Let someone else just worry about the salary cap.
I agree. Very smart. And great segue, Craig. to Kent Hughs.
There we go.
New hire for the Habs GM position. And it took a little longer than people thought. Kent Hughs is bilingual. He is not francophone, which I didn't entirely know there was a difference, but I guess there is.
Yeah.
Surprised that this is the case, or no?
The francophone person or the name?
The francophone part, yeah.
See, I don't think so. I think they were looking for someone who is... We were saying all along that we want them to hire the best person. And I think they've hired the best person who can speak French. By, maybe he is from Montreal. He grew up in Montreal. He spent, most of his childhood, and I think he went to university in Montreal. So he is a product of the city, even though he isn't French. And I think there's a big enough fan base in Montreal that can just deal with that. He can speak Franglish with the Montrealers. Like, I think he is enough of a Montreal person that he will be accepted in the fan base pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea too. I don't feel like you're just opening the door a little bit more, and becoming bilingual is not impossible. Becoming francophone is a little more impossible.
Yeah,
for most.
And his wife is also from Quebec, so I think Montreal even. So, I mean, there's that connection too, and that's going to have the heritage and culture part that the fan base might want. And then I saw a little bit of him on Twitter just speaking about, what he's going to do the upcoming couple games. And his French is pretty good. It's definitely not Francophone French, but, he speaks the language, and that's what's important. And he speaks it well enough that people can understand it and are respected by it.
He can be quoted in the language and they don't have to translate it. I think that's more or less what they want.
Translation's expensive, man.
Especially in a place like Montreal. Like, how many translators can he possibly have?
Absolutely.
Habs, speaking of which, are not doing so great. They are literally at the bottom of the standings, and they have yet to get to 10 wins. They're at 8 wins. Exactly halfway through the season. That is a small number. Oh my Lord. And then their last 10, 1, 5, and 4, currently on a 3-game losing streak. So not great things happening in Montreal. Jeff Gorton, he was the GM of the New York Rangers, and he put them through a rebuild right after they went to the conference final. So slightly different situation. But do you guys think it's full rebuild time for the Habs? Dan, yes or no?
I mean, it's pretty close. They've got goalie issues. They've got defense issues. I mean, I think they're going to lose a few key players. And who is it, Weber, that's injured?
Yes.
And he's probably not coming back next season. So are they going to go captainless into next season? They have a lot to do. They also, looking at their stats, their top line is really their only consistent production, and the next 3 lines are all kind of they're still good players, but they're just not producing the same as the top. So yeah, full rebuild mode. I think it's probably about time for Montreal to do something like that.
And Jeff Gorton did an excellent job with that rebuild. He brought in Zibanejad, he brought in the big ticket Panarin. I'm not sure if he drafted Shesterkin, but at least was patient with them, developed, and now he's taken over for Lundqvist. I think he might have been involved in the Adam Fox trade. He's almost a 2-time Norris winner now. Like, my Lord. But very quickly, kind of our quick question segment, I'm going to go down the Habs roster with names that we may be familiar with, at least from last year's playoff run. Give you a little bit of background on their cap situation and maybe age, and you tell me if they are going to be moved this year or not. And just give me a quick yes or no, quick questions. And don't forget to comment on some of our posts, our listeners here. Josh Anderson, modified no trade clause, 8-team no trade list, $5.5 million for the next forever. Moved, yes or no, Craig?
No, they've currently won the, trading a paperclip for a paperweight, trading the paperweight for a stapler. They've gone from Galchenyuk up to Josh Anderson right now. I don't think they're going to be able to trade that for much else unless they can somehow trade this bicycle for a motorcycle, I don't know what else they can do. I think he's pretty safe with the team. $5.5 million is not bad. He's a big body power forward. I think he's making exactly what he should be making, and he'll fit in pretty well in whatever kind of rebuild, whatever they're going to do going forward.
Dan, Mike Hoffman, who, was very revered with the Ottawa Senators.
Yep,
I didn't know that he signed 3 years.
Neither did I. I thought it was a one.
Significant,
Yeah.
significant contract. $4.5 million. He's 32 right now. Do you think they ship out Mike Hoffman sooner than later?
You'd have to try, but that's 32, 4.5. You said that's a pretty big contract. Also, I think it'd be hard to ship out.
Okay, I'm gonna skip over Christian Dvorak because they just got him and he's there for 4 more years, and he's pretty young. Tyler Toffoli. Tyler Toffoli recently brought in 4.25 for the next 3 years. One of their best players, definitely their best player last year offensively. Lots and lots of goals. Craig, you think Toffoli goes away sooner than later?
Wait, firstly, I'm going to preface that he was only their best goal scorer because he got to play Vancouver so many times.
That's true.
And I think that they would love to trade him off to Vancouver. I think Vancouver would love to have him back, but I think they just ran out of time. I think he's another player kind of like Anderson that he's going to fit into this team with a rebuild. I don't know what his feelings are, but I think if you were if you were them, I think he's the kind of place, another guy that you could at least for the next couple of years and keep him on your team.
Right now, they can also afford the cap space too. Like they're not crunched for cap space.
I guess it really depends on what kind of rebuild are they going to do. Is it going to be a scorched earth one, or is it going to be kind of more like Toronto did, where it was a little gradual, where you trade the big stars, but like they don't really have a lot of big stars. Everything else is young. So honestly, I don't know what they have.
Do you think prices?
No,
I'm not there yet. You stop. Speaking of scorched earth, Nick Suzuki recently signed to a $7.875 deal, 22 for the next bajillion years. Dan, do they go for it and just be like, who wants first line center?
No, he's not going anywhere. Are you kidding? Okay. That's a steal of a contract, and he's a great player.
Okay, another big money player, but right D, well coveted, Jeff Petrie, next 4 years, $6.25 million. He's 34. Does somebody take that contract? Craig.
4 more years?
Yeah.
No. I don't think so, unless Montreal is willing to retain salary on that. And if they plan on not being good for 4 years, then I can't see why they wouldn't, especially gets them the right haul back. Petrie was I'd say one of their best players last year in the playoffs, or at least during the season. And I think he's going to be valuable to somebody, but that's not a rental at that point. Like, geez, maybe someone like Minnesota, who's going to be in a cap crunch in the next couple of years, if they can get salary retained. He's a contract that they know. I don't think so. I don't think they will get enough back for him. I feel like his services would be better with a younger team, someone as a stalwart on the back there that can train and teach some of these young guys coming up.
Okay, last one. Carey Price. $10.5 million for the next 5 years inclusive. Does he get traded sooner than later? Dan.
I really... I'm of both minds on this one. I would hate to see him get traded. His cap hit is huge. What did you say? 10 point something?
10.5.
Yeah, like that's huge. Not a lot of teams would be able to afford him. It's the same problem we ran into at the start of this season with the expansion draft happening. Mm-hmm. Everyone was asking that kind of same question. I think he probably sticks around, but it makes an interesting cap problem for them. So I'm not sure what Montreal would do.
Craig, Price gone or no?
Again, I think he makes too much money. I don't know where they'd be able to move him to. He's not going to move this year. You know that for sure because he might not even play games. I think they're going to have to wait to see what he's like next season. So it might be halfway through the year. I think teams are going to want to see what that knee and what that groin is going to be like before they're going to invest that much money. Even if they can retain half, 5.25 is still a fair amount for a goalie, especially someone that's north of 30 and has a history of injuries. Yes, he can steal a playoff series or 3, but I think there's still a lot of money for a guy. I think $10.5 million for any goalie is a lot. Even does he make more than Bobrovsky?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky's 10 exactly.
Yeah. See, like even Bobrovsky, who's hot and cold, like when he's hot, that's stomachable. But Price is never really that hot, especially in the regular season.
Okay.
It's taken special circumstances for that team to get in the playoffs in the last 2 years, and Price was part of the reason why they could not be better than they were.
Fair. So a lot of, yes, they want to move things out, but it's going to be super, super hard, and then maybe the young guys stick around. Speaking of young and old guys, Team Canada's roster for the Olympics. By the way, the Olympics are still happening. Didn't see that coming. For now. And Team Canada has a roster recently released, and some recognizable names on the roster for Team Canada. Eric Stahl, who did in fact play for the Habs last year, is the captain. So that's pretty cool. And
that is official.
Honestly,
great.
I'm surprised he didn't get signed somewhere this year. Just league min.
Still can.
And, I don't know. Still can afterwards.
Up until the trade deadline, I believe.
Yeah. A couple other names that may be familiar. Josh Hosang, currently playing with the Toronto Marlies, is on Team Canada. Very well deserved, which is super cool. Mason McTavish, formerly of the Peterborough Petes, drafted by Anaheim last year and was on the World Junior team in the canceled tournament there. Daniel Winnick, woo!
Former Leaf.
Two-time Leaf. Former Leaf.
Two-time traded Leaf,
he
too.
Went. Yeah, two-time traded. Owen Power really put on a show at the World Juniors, the first overall pick last year for Buffalo. And really cool name. I'm excited to see this one. Also a Buffalo prospect, Devin Levi, the goalie for Canada World Juniors last year, is looking to be their starting goalie at the Olympics, Team Canada. So what a step up there. Not even going to the NHL first, not going to a World Championship, going straight to the Olympics. My only question for you guys is, are you interested in watching based on the team that was released or the names that I just said? Dan?
I think so. I mean, even just watch Hosang play. I don't watch Marlies games often. I've watched one this year, and I had to watch it like 2 days later. But I would like to see him play again. And, obviously it'll be fun to see Stahl play. So, yeah, I'll watch it.
I'm sure I'll turn it on. I'm sure I'll watch it, especially if they go into a medal game. But A, there's Leafs games. B, there's 2 other things I've dedicated myself that I'm going to watch this year in the Olympics. One is women's hockey, and the other one is going to be mixed doubles curling, because mixed doubles curling is a lot of fun to watch.
I didn't even know that was a possible combination.
Oh,
especially
it's
at the
so
Olympics.
much better. It's so good. Last Olympics was was the first one that they'd introduced it. It's just so much faster. It's 2 people. It's like half the amount of ends. It's like 8 ends instead of 10, I think. And like half the amount of rocks. It's just so much better. It's arena curling.
Nice. I dig that.
So everybody out there, I challenge you to go watch some mixed doubles curling.
If you want to subscribe to Craig's Mixed Doubles Curling podcast, click here.
Mixed doubles with Craig.
As he got so excited about that.
Mixed doubles, Craig. That sounds like a drink.
Sounds like a drink. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or mixing double shots of things.
Oh, boy. Really good Friday night. Really bad Saturday.
At least. Okay. We're going to take a hard right turn to other unfortunate news. Thankfully, not really in the NHL this time, but still not good for the hockey world. We've had a little bit of the racism again in the minors this time. Not great. Craig, you want to take us through this one again?
Well, I didn't. First, there was the one in the AHL. I didn't actually see footage of that one. I'm not 100% sure there is any. So the person who made the slur did get 30 games. That is a great step forward. Is it perfect? Is that what a lot of people want to see? Probably not. Is it more than anyone else has received for something like this? Yes. That is a half a year's salary for someone like that who's making in the AHL 70 grand. That's a significant amount of money. That's life changing. So at that point, at least you're going to be thinking about something. I think you were describing the Jordan Subban one.
Let me describe that one for you. There's almost a fight, and I can't remember his name. It was really cool. The black player, he's like, okay, we're not fighting. So he turns his back on the San Jose player, the white player, and then the white player makes a monkey gesture, and that's just the worst. But the black player sees it, and he goes back at him.
I know a lot of people have been questioning whether or not that was the intent of the gesture. Now, the player, Pineda, did say, he did come on social media and did a video saying that wasn't my intent. I didn't mean that. Someone put it really well on Twitter. They said, the thing is, black people have to be 115% sure before accusing someone that's white of racism. Collectively, the Subbans know racism when they see it. Jordan's reactions show he was pretty sure what Pineda did. So even if Pineda is saying, he goes on social media saying that's not what I was trying to do, I can't see Subban having that reaction unless he felt in the moment that is actually what was happening. The offender was released from his team and indefinitely suspended from the ECHL. So at least it's a good step forward. But with two different incidents in the same week, they were 2 days apart.
Yeah.
I think Akeem Aliu said it best. I'm just going to quote him as well. We can stop saying that hockey is for everyone. I know that the that's the NHL's mantra, and it's what they want you to believe. But as we continue to witness, it's simply not true. How about we say, let's make hockey for everyone. Let's admit our shortcomings and strive for something tangible. That is exactly what we need to do. Let's stop pretending with this bullshit that currently hockey is for everyone. Because the amount of people I've seen on Twitter saying, I had to make a choice when I put my kids into sports, and I chose not to put them in hockey because we know that there is just going to be a risk that there's going to be a racist incident, something like that. The amount of times that we see it on video, it's 15, 20 times, maybe 100 times more often. You don't catch it on video. These things don't get reported, and people have to deal with this every day. So please, every listener on this game, if you are a person who plays hockey, if you have children in hockey, please have the discussion with the people that you know that this is not right. That we need to make this game for everybody. This game is currently not for everybody. There's so many people who stay away from it because of things like this. And like I said before, if we want this sport to be a true meritocracy, we need to have equality, equity. We need to make sure that the best athletes are playing this sport to make the best product on the ice. Is exactly what we want to see. We want the best players, and right now we're just not going to get it.
Agreed. Well said. Well said.
Very well said.
And I want to reiterate a point that we made. I think it was last podcast or the podcast before. Adding opportunities do not take away opportunities.
No.
It's just addition. It's not addition by subtraction. Yes, there might be more competition for the higher levels. That means you're getting the best players now. You're definitely getting the best. And that's what we want to see in hockey. We want to see the Trevor Zegrases doing the crazy moves.
Mm-hmm.
We want to see the Subbans and a family getting through the league and really showing off what they've got. So remember, not addition by subtraction.
And a quick thing about that, by adding fans and fan bases means that we can add hockey teams, which means we can add jobs, which means we can add more people getting these jobs. So by not isolating such a large amount of the population, that we can actually grow the sport, and we can maybe go back into somewhere like Houston or Kansas City and have more teams that we can actually have more players playing. If we have more people playing the sport and more fans, it means more jobs. Simple as that.
And more fun.
And more fun. Except for Seattle.
It's more fun.
That's not that much fun.
That's not that much fun right now.
Not yet.
I think it will be fun. Yeah. To segue in a positive direction, we're saying
Hard
let's
left turn?
make hockey. No, yeah, back. We're going back.
Okay.
let's make hockey for everyone. Boston retiring Willie O'Ree's number. It really, is a symbol that hockey players, black hockey players, young black hockey players can see themselves playing hockey. And I think it's really important to commemorate those that have accomplished such a feat in the past. And here's an interview with my dad. Woo!
That was hard to hit the brakes. Here we go.
Okay, we have a new segment. It's going to be Talk with Dad. Our names are really good. So this is my Farger. Farger, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Kyle.
There he is. There's Robert, nurse. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Just enjoying some lovely refreshments before the game gets started here on a Saturday evening. Are you a Leafs fan there, Farger?
I'm in and out. It's a painful team to like, but if they ever win the Stanley Cup, I will jump on board as a Leaf fan, yes.
And when was the last time they won the Stanley Cup?
The year I was born in 1967.
And when are they going to win the Stanley Cup again?
Well, if they win the Stanley Cup this year, that'd be 55 years later, the same year possibly my grandson is born. And if not, then it'd be the same year my granddaughter is born.
What?
No. What?
That's funny. You should just say that if it's a son, they're going to win. If it's a daughter, they're going to lose.
No,
Is that what you
I don't
said?
know. I don't know if I said that or
Okay.
not. But either or, it's possibly they could win this year, and then that would be kind of neat.
That'd be
Because
pretty
then-
cool. That'd be pretty cool.
Between my birth and my grandchild's birth is the difference between the Toronto Maple Leafs winning the Stanley Cups.
Well, there you go. It's perfect. It's perfect. You got a couple of cool Leaf stories for us?
So basically, longtime friend of mine, Herbie Ragland, who played for the St. Louis Blues, grew up in Peterborough, which is a huge hockey town. I believe we've put more coaches and players in the NHL than any other minor hockey league in the world. But recently I was reading an article about Dave Motor City Smitty Smith, played for Toronto for a couple of years. The interesting thing is my grandfather's name was Smithson, known as Smitty or Smith. And so I sent Kyle the article thinking that, hey, if you do have a son, wouldn't it be cool if Toronto wins the Stanley Cup this year to name the child Smithson?
It's not going over well, that name choice, but
No.
we're trying. We're trying.
So anyways, I text my friend Herb, who played for St. Louis, and I said, hey, did you play with Motor City Smitty? So he texted me back. He says, yeah, why? And I went, well, because, the situation, I was born in 67. My grandchild will be born in 55 years later. In hopefully 2022, Leafs win the Stanley Cup. And it'd be cool to name him Smithson after my grandfather, the same as Motor City Smitty, who is, the article says, is one of the most colorful players of all time that played for the Leafs. So anyways, in the article explains about this night that they were playing the Leafs. St. Louis was playing the Leafs in the Norris division. Smitty scores a goal. He goes around the goalie, Glenn Millen. And so I text Herb. I said, were you playing in the Norris division in 86? So he sends me back a picture of his first goal in the NHL, which is Toronto 4, St. Louis 7, Norris division 7th game final. So he was actually playing the game that I've just finished reading the article about. I started asking him about the goalie from St. Louis, who was Greg Millen. I said, was he from Peterborough? He said, no, he's from Toronto, but he did play for the Petes, and he was a goalie. But he also went to Crestwood, which was my high school, and Herb's high school. And he played in the band as a drummer. And one night in a bar in St. Louis, Greg Millen got up in the bar on the set of drums and started playing Wipeout. So, this whole conversation just kind of blew me away about what's that called when people...
Small world.
Yeah, or 30 degrees of separation or 100... What is it?
Oh, yeah, 2 degrees of separation or
Where,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it was a cool story. So,
And so he was a drummer. I'm a drummer. He played in the high school band. I played in the high school band. He also said he married his high school girlfriend,
Yes.
who played in the band. And then Herb's sister was also in the band.
correct.
Unrelated to the romanticisms of the relationship, but that's a lot of connections. Who's your favorite Leafs player right now?
Leafs player right now?
right now? We ask all our guests this one.
I like Spezza. But Marner, Matthews, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one. What about all-time Leafs player?
Dougie Gilmore or Wendell Clark. There's a tie there. Both of them were like grinders. They were blue-collar workers. They got out and got the job done. And basically after the, I really enjoyed the Leafs during the Dougie Gilmore and Wendell Clark era, the 94 playoffs. I think it was 94. But then Sundin came in and he just didn't do it for me. You know, he wasn't a grinder like Dougie was. And I lost interest for the Leafs. I don't know. I was off and on over the years. And then now that we got Matthew and Marner and they're trying to build a team, which is very painful to watch, but I'm striking interest again.
We feel your pain, for sure.
Well, if we don't get by the first round this year, I am definitely giving up on the team forever.
Forever. You heard it here first, folks. Live. Giving up on the team forever.
They don't have
never
to win
back.
the cup. They just have to get by the first round.
Yeah. He's going to go down the Leafs roster. Hate. Hate. Double hate. Loathe entirely. We like to do a couple movie montages sometimes. Big Jim Carrey fans here
Huge.
in the Nurse family.
Well, I'm trying to think of the Grinch one where what your wife likes to dictate, but I never remember that one. Set it off for me.
5 o'clock, jazzercise. 6 o'clock, dinner with myself. I can't cancel that again.
Or the solve world hunger and tell no one.
Tell no one. I'm booked. Well, I guess if I move the jazzercising to 9, I could get back in time.
Oh, I can't go. I just can't go.
What would I wear?
Oh, Jimmy.
Okay, cool. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me. I think this is pretty cool what you're doing, you guys. And hi, Craig. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. How are you? Okay, back to you guys. What a wild story. I
Yeah,
couldn't
that
believe
was
those
amazing.
City
dots
Smitty?
that were connected.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I love that.
Yeah, I also really liked 30 degrees of separation. Or what was it, 100
Yeah,
degrees
What
of
is the
separation?
actual expression? I have no idea what it is.
It's 6.
Okay, well, he said 100, then 30, then I said 2. So I said, we don't know that
You were
one.
narrowing in slowly.
Yeah. If we take the average, actually, no, that wouldn't
Yeah.
be true.
If you'd talked about it for 10 more minutes, you would have hit it.
Back to the Leafs. Thanks, Dad, for that awesome story. Let's talk about the current Leafs. They also lost recently. No, they beat the Blues, but it was a high-scoring game. It was not 7-4 in the playoffs, thank God.
6-5.
Yeah, it was a high-scoring game.
And
Yes,
very
and
close.
they had a hot start, and there are a lot of other games that they've had a hot start, and for some reason 3-1 seems to be the number these days. In terms of hockey, not just the Leafs, is having a hot start in the first period good or bad? Dan.
It's good if you can sustain it. I mean, that's part of the Leafs' issue is they have trouble playing the 60 minutes. And as I think I said that last week. And if you don't I think the Rangers had a slow start and they just built on the Leafs' crappy momentum that they were generating and capitalized on every turnover. And it was embarrassing by the end. But I would rather have that happen than a hot start and then fading, which is what the Leafs have been doing within the last 10 games.
Before I get to Craig, of course, you want to have a hot start and keep it going.
Right.
Is it harder to have a hot start and keep it going, or harder to come back from a slow start? And let's talk specifically about hockey. All the hotness happens in the first period. It's not like first through second. It's just first, and then potentially second to third is where things change. Which one's harder?
I mean, the Leafs have had a harder time this year growing from a deficit in scoring. So I think for them, it's better to have a hot start. But if you can't sustain it, it means nothing. So I would say having a hot start is the better way to go. But if you can't keep that going throughout the rest of the game and keep the momentum, then there's no point. A loss is still a loss.
See, I think this is really funny. For the last 5, 6, 10 years, we've been been complaining that the Leafs cannot start on time and that they cannot play the first period for whatever reason. And it takes till the second and the third. So they get into deficits and they come back and they, in spectacular fashion. And suddenly they are a good first period team. And then they try to play defense and they try to sit back on their heels and try to defend that lead, which they just simply cannot do. They simply cannot defend a lead. What they need to do, if they can do that, take that hot start and continue it. Screw defense. Let's play 2013 style. Everything is just straightforward, right to the net. 60 minutes, that's the kind of game the Leafs are going to win right now with the roster that they have. That's the way they are built. And Jack Campbell hopefully is going to bail them out because it's going to be a lot of defensive end rushes. But that seems to be the only game they can play right now. They need to stay pedal to the metal, 60 minutes all the time. Screw defense.
Screw defense.
Screw defense. What do we got?
They've been doing that the last 2 periods.
Well, yeah, but the problem is they also aren't playing offense.
Yeah. One thing that's been driving me crazy is they will get up a few goals and then they'll get a power play and they'll kind of just wait for the perfect setup. Like, I understand you don't want to waste your power play by just shooting random shots, but they're waiting for the perfect setup and it loses momentum throughout that power play. And then they kind of fade throughout the rest of the game. Like, I've only noticed that twice, but still, like, power plays where you keep the momentum on, you keep the pressure on, you tire out their defense.
And that was their MO last year. That they would just pass around, trying to get that perfect shot. It's just like, they've been so good this year of getting the puck to the net and getting bodies to the net and getting those bang-in goals. But they need to do that for 60 minutes. They can't just do that for 20 and then just hope that that's going to be good enough.
Okay. This is maybe beyond hockey a little bit. And a question for our listeners, too. You have the hot start. You're feeling good. Like, this is a good thing. Like Dan said, it's definitely better to have a hot start than to try to crawl back. Is it a good idea to acknowledge that hot start and, positive. Yeah, we're doing this great. Yeah, we're doing this great. Man, this is so awesome. Yay. Or is it better to ignore the positive, ignore the hot start, and just kind of be maybe a little bit robotic and say, this is the plan. This is what we're going to do. Let's just do it. We did it in the first. Let's do it in the second. New ball game. Craig, which do you think is better? Feeding off the positivity or sticking to the plan and forgetting the positivity?
Sticking to the plan. Make sure your team is playing hard and with purpose. That's what matters. Hard and with purpose. Remember that.
I 100% agree with Craig.
I feel like that's what you're getting at, right, Kyle? Keith and his negativity. I thought that's where you were going with that.
That's true. I kind of forgot about that. But I was trying to open it up. Is it good in hockey but bad in life? Or is it good in both ways? Or like...
Oh, getting a hot start in real life definitely makes a big difference. Worked for Donald Trump, so...
Positivity to keep it going or just do the process, forget about the positive?
The process. Consistency. I mean, if the Leafs could show up for 60 minutes, have all those periods be the same offensively and defensively as the first periods that they're playing, we don't lose a game.
Even if they lost.
So absolutely.
Like, I'd rather see that.
Yeah, even if they lost, like, they've had a couple games where they've let in a lot of goals, and I've still felt decent about the game. But, it's those blown leads from the first period 4-1s that just drive me friggin' crazy.
It's also about how the goals go in. If you lose a game and you've had, it is still a piece of rubber on a frozen piece of ice with skate knives on your feet. Like, things can happen anytime. You can play 60 good minutes and you could have 6 bounces go in your net. But yeah, you're right. It is about the process. It's about how they're winning those games.
Okay. So Keith has noticed that the Leafs are not doing so great right now, even though it's kind of been 50-50. Like, they've come back in games and they got their 2 points. They came back in games, they got 1 point. They lost one in Arizona. They lost one in Ranger territory, but then they won relatively decisively in Islander territory. It's kind of been 50-50. However, he has shaken up the lines significantly. Now, this was lines at a practice, So we're not 100% sure if this is going to apply to the game that's happening on Wednesday. First line, Bunting, Matthews, Kasha. We've seen this before. Mikheyev, Tavares, Marner. We may have seen this last year, but Tavares Marner is not unheard of. Notice somebody's missing already. On to Kerfoot, Kampf, Nylander. Nylander on the third, kind of that checking line role, not with Tavares, not with Matthews. And then our fourth line, Engvall, Spezza, Simmons, with Ritchie and Clifford being the extras. What are the pros and cons to a crazy shakeup like this? I'm kind of only seeing cons with Nylander on the third. He's been so good, like so hot.
So has Kerfoot, though.
And, okay, so yeah, he's on the third too. But and then you put Kampf in the middle. Is that gonna help? And then Matthews, I feel like his talents are a little bit being wasted with only Bunting and Kasha. Like they're great players and they've meshed well when there were injuries. But like you have Marner, you have Nylander. Why not put them up with Matthews? And Kerfoot, Kampf, Engvall has been stellar as a shutdown line. They've been starting games. They've been the first line out. I'm not sure this is gonna work.
I love it. I think he's playing 9 lines of forwards that are, or sorry, 9 players and forwards.
That's a lot of hockey. That's a lot of lines.
Yeah, it is a lot of lines. But
you get 2 minutes per game.
He's playing a top 9 and then a shutdown line at the end. And I think I really love this setup. If you look at their stats, they've got tons of assists behind a good goal scorer on each line, which, you know, if they're looking to fill a 60-minute period of hockey, I think these lines could do it. I think spreading out your top scorers with Matthews and then getting Tavares and Marner together, both of those are good scorers, and then having Nylander on the third line spreads out the talent. I also really like the Engvall, Spezza, Simmons line because it's not a lot of points, but that's really not what you're looking for from the fourth line. You're looking for kind of relievers, but also to keep momentum going and some big hits on that line. So I think that's fantastic. I'm excited for it. I hope they play it.
Okay, before I let Craig go, you said a scorer and a setup man on each line, and then the fourth line is the shutdown pair or shutdown line?
Of what's on the Leaf roster? Yeah. I mean, really, like Spezza and Simmons are both big guys. Engvall's got a little bit of more,
but they're
kind of
so
scoring
slow.
potential.
Like they can't stop much. And the fourth line is meant to kind of be in the offensive zone for a little bit and stay there so the next big line can come in. You don't want them shutting down, getting out of the defensive zone. They're not shutting much down, especially with that lack of speed.
But I kind of see it as like a fourth line just to hold until the top 3 get back, because you've got at least a little bit of hitting power there, some size, and then, you know, if they play more defensive hockey on that line, I kind of see it working. You know, as long as you're not playing, you know, trying to pinch and get goals on every shot you're taking, I think it could work.
Okay, and then the other one, the setup man into the scoring person. So usually it would be Marner sets up Matthews, and probably Tavares sets up Nylander. Okay, Marner sets up Tavares now.
Yep.
Bunting sets up Matthews, and Kerfoot sets up Nylander. Is that what we're talking about?
Exactly. And I see the stats suggest it should work. I did the points. I did the goals, assists, and points all separately for the top 3 lines.
Okay.
And the top line obviously is the highest of all 3. But then as you go down, the margins aren't as great. Like I just looked at the Montreal roster before we started the podcast, and the top line is 85% of the production on that team. But right now we have like 75%, 80% production on the top 3 lines. And it's fantastic. It's whatever line you go to, you're going to get some points.
See, what I'm seeing is a balancing of all the lines. We have 2 first lines, we have a second line, and then we have a third line. We don't really have a fourth line the way it is right now. So I'm seeing on each line, we've got someone who is really good at playing defense and playing both ways. Really, every line has 2 guys who is really good at playing defensive and playing both ways. So we got Matthews and Kasha, who are both, 200-foot guys. We've got Marner and Tavares and Mikheyev. All 3 of them are 200-foot guys. And we've got Kerfoot and Kampf. We've got Engvall. And then Spezza and Simmons will play all 200 feet because sometimes they go back to the other end. But I think there's speed on every line. I think there is a defensive mind on every line. And I think we've got a grinder and someone who will go to the net on every line. So like we've got Bunting will go to the net. Tavares will go to the net. Nylander, Simmons, every line has someone who will be at the back, watching, making sure, covering those defense. There's going to be someone at the net, and there's someone that can move the puck on every one of those lines. I see some good balance there. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's something that I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to see what these lines can do, especially with against a couple teams. Like, we'll see what they do against Anaheim, who has been sneaky good so far this season. But Detroit is a good team to try that against, and the 2 games against New Jersey. These look like 4 games that I'm willing to see what these lines can do.
I also just want to throw in that Nylander's been hot and cold this year, as per usual.
He's second on the team in points right now.
He is, but he's also gone a few games without points. So this might be Keefe just saying, like, okay, get back into scoring some points. We're going to put you on a line where that you have the opportunity to do that on this line. Make it happen.
Now, he did say this is not a demotion for anybody. This is very much not a demotion. This is a balancing of the lines. This is what he's envisioned. We were talking about a little while ago what this team would look like when everyone was healthy and that they were so close there for like one game. This apparently is what he envisioned this lineup to look like. And I'm really curious to what this is going to be because Keefe has been great for the Leafs. He has been the best coach in Leafs history up to this point. I'm really curious to see what this is going to do.
Okay. I'll go with Craig's last point. I am curious to see how this goes. However, I was not listening for a little bit there too, to look up what some of the other teams that are at the top of the league kind of look like in terms of their top lines. Number 1 team in the league, Colorado Avalanche.
That's not even fair.
First line, no. McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog.
Please don't compare anybody to that
just
team.
Loaded.
Yeah.
Loaded. After that, like it kind of does what Dan mentioned before, where the top line is huge and then it tails off a little bit. Florida, I think that was the only team that seemed a little bit more spread out, but it was mostly top 2 lines. Same with Tampa, top 2. Same with Rangers, top 2. And again, I think it's just that Nylander move to the third. I think he's too far down. He's not going to get the minutes, and that's really going to hurt kind of the Matthews topness there. So while our points will be spread out between 3 lines, I don't think we'll get as many points in general, like goals and assists. Like, I don't know.
But what if playing more minutes on the third line and maybe even some in the fourth is part of playing a 60-minute game for Keefe?
Okay.
So let's think of it this way. Yeah, 60 minutes. Also, how many other teams in the league have a third line that good? So yes, maybe you get some less goals from Matthews. Maybe you'll get a little less from Tavares. But you've got that third line, which is pretty dangerous. That's going to be able to rack up some goals. And soon as they start doing well, then you're going to start trying to defend against them, and then you throw out Tavares. And then if he starts doing well, you start defending against him, then you throw out Matthews. Like, by having 3 balanced lines, I don't think there's enough teams that are going to have strong enough lines that are going to be able to keep up with them shift by shift. And especially Toronto has a lot of home games left right now. They have a lot of home games left in the rest of the season. They're going to have that last change. They're going to be able to throw out those matchups that they want. That's going to be a big thing coming in the rest of the season. All those home games that they're going to make up, that means that they're going to have a little bit of an advantage at this point.
That's true. That's true. Okay. I'm kind of coming around to it. I can't wait to prove you guys wrong next week when it crashes and burns in actual games.
Against
but
New
at
Jersey.
the same time, I hope not. I really hope not. I hope this does work out and it's really, really cool. But again, I don't want to see Nylander's minutes go down. And he seems maybe like the type, if you had him an NHL 22 on the third line, you'd be having a talking to with the GM. But whatever. We'll see. Let us know what you guys think at home. Are these lines going to work, or is this a bad idea? Also, let's make a bet.
All right. So, of those 3 top lines, the way that we just named them out, Bunting, Matthews, Kasha, yeah.
Yep.
Which of those 3 lines combined on that line are going to have the most points by the end of the week?
Okay, what if they don't stay like that?
Doesn't matter. It's those players. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. Those players. Got it. By the way, Craig won last week with 14 points overall in 2 games. And
Math
that
with
was
feelings, man.
like
Math with feelings.
on the money. It wasn't like he was the
perfect.
closest. He was on the money. Math with feelings. Very good. Okay, who's going to go first, Craig?
I guess I won last week, so I just get to pick. Dan.
I'm going to take the Mikheyev Tavares Marner line. I think they will come out with top points with Tavares and Marner scoring lots, and Mikheyev on maybe a hot streak right now.
Okay. I'm going to pick the same, but Dan, who out of those 3 to break our tie has the most points?
You're giving me first choice?
Well, I guess who you're going to... I'm hoping you're going to pick your guy.
I'm going to take Marner.
Okay, well, I'll take Tavares. That's fine.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, buddy.
Okay, Craig.
Geez, in recent history, I'd say Mikheyev, but I guess I'll go with the top line then. I was sure I was going to have to go with that third line, but I'll go with, Bunting, Matthews, Kasha. Also,
Okay.
That's probably safe.
I recently heard Kasha referred to as Buzzsaw. I love it. It's a perfect name for him.
That's an awesome nickname. And
Yes.
His,
Yeah, I
his
like
mustache is kind of like it's prickly. I like it. I like it. Okay, that was a fun one. We didn't really talk or summarize the games that much, and I think we were able to hold our own, really talk about some cool topics. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Farger, for coming on.
Oh, and
We had a
hi,
good
Rob.
interview there. Really great story.
Sorry, I didn't say hi during the interview.
No, I said hi for you.
Oh, okay. Hi.
All right, how's it going? My name's Craig. I have a beard. That's Craig's only thing.
That is my defining part of my personality is my beard.
Yes, exactly. Okay, don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media. 5 stars on all your podcast app if you so want to. We hope you do. And here's my new jingle to let us out. Go Leafs, go!
Go, Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go!